Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Low Carb Cocktails. Can you guess what time it is? It's Tiki time! Finally, we're here to get started with our Tiki season for the summer. This is going to be done a little bit different from my previous Tiki series, and if you haven't seen any of that yet, I'll leave a playlist right here. You can kind of check those out whenever you have some time. What I'm going to do this time that I didn't do last time is I'm going to do a video on the ingredients, or well, specifically the mixers and syrups you're going to need for these specific cocktails. So it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to walk through the first three because they're basically dummy proof. And the first one is a basic simple syrup. And this is an allulose syrup. Allulose. You can pick this up on Amazon. That's where I get it. As a matter of fact, there'll be a link in the description below where you can pick this up on Amazon. It is an affiliate link. All the links in my description are. So it does help me out if you decide to shop on Amazon if you go through my links. So let's kind of move on. Simple syrup with allulose, which I like about this. 1 cup sugar, more allulose, 1 cup water, you have a simple syrup. Now this is going to be the base for some of our other syrups. So outside of the simple syrup, the next one is a vanilla syrup. Vanilla syrup. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can go ahead and get a vanilla bean, slice it open, scrape all the vanilla out, put it in there, and then set it in a pot of water, boil it with the allulose, things like that. Or you can do it a really easy way. 1 cup of simple syrup, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, you have vanilla simple syrup. So this is the two that you're going to use here. And your simple syrup base is going to be the base of every syrup you do. If you do a raspberry syrup, it's a simple syrup plus boiling raspberries in it. Same thing with strawberries, mint. So really easy when you make a simple syrup using allulose. All you have to do is throw something in a pot that you want your simple syrup to taste like. The next one is a cinnamon simple syrup. You're going to need some cinnamon sticks and a simple syrup. Now, what's different about this one is I used a brown sugar substitute. I used Swerve. I used their brown sugar substitute. Swerve's really good. They're a local company. I've not tried their confectioners, but I've tried their granulated. Now, maybe I should give their confectioners a try. I wasn't crazy about their granulated sweetener because it was a little cloudy and it did affect the color of the cocktails. I heard that the confectioners or powdered doesn't do that, so I'm probably gonna give that a try next. But what I like about Swerve, first off, it's 0 net carbs because it's erythritol. So because of that, you do have to play with the ratios a little bit, and I get that in a second. But they're a local company. They're right here in Louisiana. As a matter of fact, in New Orleans, just 30 minutes away from where I live. I used to live in New Orleans, but now a little further out. So, but Swerve is a local company, and I always love supporting local. But basically, being a erythritol, what I've found in the past is I have to do a different ratio. You can't do 1-to-1 because it's going to crystallize. So to prevent that, I up the water a little bit. So what this actually is, it's going to be 1 cup of the Swerve sweetener, the brown sugar, and 2.5 cups of water. And that was perfect for this. Now, what I like to do with my cinnamon syrup also is the way you do this is, like I said, you'll put your 1/3 cup of Swerve brown sugar, and then you'll put 1 cup of water. So that's you can do it that way to get 1 cup, or you can do different ways, just basically 2.5 to 1 or 3 to 1, depending on how sweet you want it. So you put 6 cinnamon sticks, and what I like to do is I like to break them up. So I'll break them up, put 6 small cinnamon sticks in the pot, boil it all together, turn it down, let it cool, take the broken sticks out. But what I like to do afterwards, and this will really amplify your cinnamon syrup, is you take 2 sticks, drop them in, and you leave it. And you leave it, and you leave it. So now, as the cinnamon syrup sits, it's sitting with those cinnamon sticks. So it's picking up that cinnamon flavor stronger and stronger and stronger the longer it sits. Now, the thing about your simple syrups, what I like to do is I add about a tablespoon of vodka, depending on how much I have. If I have a 750 milliliter bottle, I'll use 2 ounces of vodka. If I'm going down to like a cup or 2 cups, I'll use anywhere from 1 tablespoon or roughly that of vodka, just to preserve it a little bit longer. But in all honesty, these don't last long enough to actually go bad. So simple syrup is gonna be your go-to for everything that you do. Next is your vanilla syrup. and then your cinnamon syrup. And these will be used all in the cocktails that'll be coming up soon. So let's get this out the way, and we're gonna talk about Falernum. I love Falernum. It's just fun to say, like Falernum. It's kind of a fun word to say. Kind of my favorite word to say is chupacabra. Say chupacabra. Chupacabra. It's just a fun thing to say. So what Falernum is, it's a liqueur from Barbados, dates back to the 1800s. And basically it's lime with ginger and some clove and some almond. So we're gonna kind of put this together really quick. Now this is gonna take a few days. This is why I'm gonna start off with the Falernum and an Allspice Dram, because these take, a few days to put together, steep, to build the best flavors. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with the zest of 5 limes. Now this is a recipe that I adapted from Distinguished Spirits YouTube video. Wonderful channel, full of Tiki knowledge, Tiki drinks. So this is a recipe I got off of theirs that I adapted a little bit, but I cut it in half because it makes a lot. As a matter of fact, it went bad before I even finished it last time. So we're gonna cut the recipe down in half. I'm gonna give you my half version of their recipe, and we'll talk a little bit about it as we go. So in a jar, we have the zest of 5 limes. Now, make sure when you do this, the best thing to use is a microplaner, if you have one of those, and just make sure you're not getting the pith. Just get just the green. You want, if you're doing a big old bottle, you're gonna use 9 to 10 limes, half serving, well, half a portion, I guess you say, of the recipe. We'll be doing 5. Next is gonna be the cloves and the almonds. I took one tablespoon of blanched almonds and toasted them along with 20 whole cloves. So I toasted the almonds and the cloves together for about 5 minutes until it smelled toasty good. So we're gonna add that to the jar. Next is ginger. Now what I did is it's about a 2-inch piece, about maybe as thick as a quarter or so. Just go ahead and peel that. Real easy to peel ginger. You can use a spoon, just scrape the skin off. That comes off super, super easy. And what I did is I cut them kind of julienne style. You can cut them in disc or whatever you do. Just you want to cut them. And that's going to be your base ingredients. Now we're going to add some lime juice and some simple syrup after. So but to start off with, we're just going to go with this and let this sit. Now what we're gonna use is we're gonna be using Ray & Nephew's Overproof Rum. That is what he called for. And I did think about using Hamilton's Demerara 151. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought that, hey, that Demerara rum, it's just got such a beautiful taste to it. I don't think it's gonna be good in a Falernum. I think it's gonna take away. You're gonna lose the other ingredients. You're gonna lose the clove. You're gonna lose everything else because that rum is just so predominant. So we're gonna do, let's see here, 3 ounces of 151 overproof rum. So this is going to be 2 ounces. And then another ounce. So we're gonna add 3 ounces of an overproof rum. Now we're just gonna leave this just kind of slosh it around, let it sit for overnight, and then you're gonna come back afterwards tomorrow, and that's what we're gonna do. This can kind of be done in 2 parts. So we're gonna come back tomorrow after this sits and steeps for a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead and build the other liquids as well with it, which is gonna be the lime juice and the simple syrup. So for now, we're just gonna do the lime zest with the cloves and the almonds and the ginger. Let that sit in our simple syrup, and let that sit in our rum, and then we're gonna come back and add the other stuff to it later. So we're just gonna put this aside for now. And we're gonna talk next about the Allspice Dram. Allspice Dram, or some people call it pimento dram, is gonna be another ingredient that we're gonna be using in one of our cocktails. And you use this, and you make this with allspice berries. So you take a 1/4 cup of allspice berries, and if you have a mortar and pestle, I don't, or if you have a spice grinder, I don't. So what I did is I took a 1/4 cup of allspice berries, put them in a Ziploc bag, and I went to town on them with a rolling pin. So, and you just go ahead, now you don't want to make a powder out of it. You just want the berries crushed because they are hard. So you just want to make sure they're crushed and kind of and cracked open. You don't want to go ahead and like turn it into a powder. So from here, we're going to take another mason jar. We're going to go, here we go. In the mason jar, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of crushed allspice berries. And we're going to add, where am I at? Oh, the rums. You'll find this a whole bunch of different ways. Some of them say it takes 12 days to make and then a month to set. I found some others that just weren't quite that long. So what I'm gonna do is, because I know this from with triple sex and things like that, if you use a higher proof alcohol, it does speed up your steeping time. It does pull the oils and the flavors out of that herb or spice in this case a little bit faster. Now the recipe I found calls for 1 cup of light rum. So, but I'm actually gonna use a 1/2 cup of light rum, and I'm gonna use a 1/2 cup of overproof rum. So we're still going with the 1 ounce of rum total, but we're just gonna split that up a little bit. So there's 1/2 cup of white rum, and I am using 7.3, like I said, support local, 7.3 Black Pearl rum. And then we're gonna go with 4 ounces or a 1/2 cup of Wray & Nephew's overproof rum. There we go. Now, a couple of these recipes, you'll be adding some other things, and like this will have cinnamon in it as well, and some other things like that. But to start off with, rum, allspice berries, let it sit overnight. Just like we're gonna let this sit overnight, we're gonna let this sit overnight. So the difference is once this sets, we're gonna drain all this out and we're gonna add up our other stuff on top of it. We're gonna strain this out. But see, right now it's still kind of clear. This should be turned like a dark brown. And then tomorrow we'll strain this out. So this is gonna take about a week. This is gonna take about, about 2 days, 2.5 days for this. So that is our falernum and our allspice dram. So we're gonna come back tomorrow. Well, maybe not tomorrow. I might come back the next day. And once all this is drained, added in, and we're ready to set this apart. When we get to step 2, we'll be back. We'll put all this together and show you how we're working out. All right, and we're back. So we're gonna go ahead and finish the allspice dram and the falernum. So if you remember from earlier, we went and put in the allspice berries into our jar and we soaked them in some rum, and we did the same thing with some overproof rum with lime zest, the blanched almonds, the whole cloves, that was it, the whole cloves, and the ginger. So these are our infusions, and they set for, I know I said 1 day, but my work schedule pushed that back to 4. So here we are 4 days later, and man, does it smell really good. So we're gonna get started wrapping these up. Starting and finishing? Let's go ahead and finish these. So what we're gonna need next, let's go work on the falernum. With the falernum, you're gonna add out some almond extract. That's vanilla. We're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of the almond extract. Oh, this is a new bottle. Didn't take the seal off. So there's a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract in the falernum. Next, we're going to use 2 ounces, 2¼ ounces of fresh lime juice. It's our lime juice. Where's my jigger? Here. And a fresh lime juice is gonna have 2½ grams of carbs. So that's 1½ And this was left over. So after I zested the limes, did I say lemons earlier? I probably said lemons. After I zested the limes for the lime zest for the falernum, I went ahead and I juiced them and just bottled it up for future use, such as this and other drinks. So next we're gonna do our simple syrup. And that's gonna be 7 ounces of our simple syrup. Again, this is the allulose, so 0 carbs. So we're gonna go with 6 and 7, here we go, 7 ounces of our allulose simple syrup. So, and really that's it, that's your falernum. Cap that up. And this is gonna have per serving, which, well, I'm calling it an ounce a serving. Some of these recipes will have a half ounce, but per ounce is 0.35 grams of carbs per ounce, net carbs that is. So it kind of looks, I got the breakdown right here for you. Yeah, we're gonna have 4 carbs in the lime juice. When you divide that up by how much liquid, which is 12.5 ounces of liquid, or 12.25, 0.375 grams of carbs per ounce of our falernum. Falernum ready to go. So let's go ahead and move on to our Allspice Dram. So we're gonna wrap up our Allspice Dram, and we're gonna go ahead and let me get to that. Allspice Dram. 0 net carbs, because we did use the Swerve brown sugar, which is gonna be 4 total carbs, but it also has 4 erythritol, net carbs, all gone. So 0 net carbs. So this is gonna require the brown sugar syrup. So, yep, that's my brown sugar. So outside of this, before with this, with the cinnamon syrup, I went ahead and made just a plain brown sugar syrup, because there are some other tiki drinks. Like I said, you'll catch those in a playlist above. For my last year, or actually year before last is Tiki. So this is gonna do 2/3 cup of a brown sugar syrup. We'll add that to the allspice blend. Well, I should say infusion, not blend. And then 1 cinnamon stick. Now, some recipes online says, either break the cinnamon stick up, throw it in the mason jar or whatever container you're using, let it sit for a day or 2, pull it out, and then you're good to go. You can do that, you can leave it in. Either way, we'll be using small amounts and we're good. So there we have our Allspice Dram. So with the cinnamon infusion going on in a couple days, this will be ready in about a day or 2, and we'll check on that actually. We'll see how this does when we do our cocktail using the Allspice Dram. So those are the recipes for the 2 longest taking syrups to make. The Allspice Dram, because you do have to let the rum and the allspice berries infuse for a few days. And the same thing with the falernum. You have to let the lime zest, the ginger, the almonds, and the clove steep for a few days as an infusion with the rum. So these take the longest. Now, kind of talk about some other things that I made also in the meantime is a honey syrup. This honey syrup is gonna have 2.5 net carbs per ounce. I was using the pure harmless honey. So this is how I made this, and the way it works out, let me break the math down for you. For this, now I do normally use a different one, different honey, which is lower, which is Nature's Hollow, and I wanna say it's either 1 or, it's gonna be almost cut this in half, so almost maybe a half a gram of carbs or 1 carb per ounce. So with this is gonna be 1 cup of water and a half cup of the honey substitute. There's 4 net carbs in a half ounce. So math. 4 net carbs and a half ounce of pure harmless honey. I use 4 ounces, so that makes 32 net carbs in this bottle. This bottle has 13 ounces of liquid, including the honey and the water. I use a cup of water, like I mentioned. And I used 1 ounce of vodka as a preservative. So 13 ounces divided by 32 net carbs, 2.5, no, just actually 2.4 something. So I'm rounding up, called 2.5 net carbs in this. If you use Nature's Hollow honey substitute, sugar-free honey substitute, you're gonna have less carbs than that. So the next mixer that you're gonna need for the Tiki videos that we're doing is going to be coconut cream. So this is still a little warm, so I haven't capped it off yet. I'm letting it cool. So the coconut cream, now this is a little thin for a coconut cream. You can add some xanthan gum to thicken that up, but you know, it's just really a texture thing at that point. I think this flavors are spot on for a really good, where's it at? A good coconut cream. So what it is, 1 cup of unsweetened coconut milk, the Thai brand. Then I use, which is gonna have, I think it was 2 grams of carbs per 3rd cup, which is their serving. I use 1 cup of water and 1 cup of allulose. So the sweetener itself has 0 carbs in it. All that math broken down comes out to 0.375, so just under 0.4, under a half a gram of carbs in our coconut cream. Like I said, if you want to thicken it up, you add a little xanthan gum and that'll take care of that. So, kind of go over our mixers for the cocktail series that we're doing one more time, wrap it all up. All right, so as far as the mixers that you're gonna make, here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this brown sugar for other cocktails from previous videos, but simple syrup using allulose, 0 grams of carbs. Cinnamon syrup using Swerve, the brown sugar substitute, 0 carbs. A vanilla syrup, 0 grams of carbs. The Falernum, 0.35 grams of carbs. The Allspice Dram is gonna be 0 grams of carbs. Our honey syrup, 2.5 grams of carbs. Our coconut cream is 0.375 grams of carbs. So here's all of our mixers, and all with the exception of the honey, they're under 1 gram of carbs per serving. Now, like I said, if you went with the Nature's Hollow, if I remember correctly, and I could be off, you're gonna cut that at least in half and bring that down to 1 gram of carb or less, depending on how you play with your ratios. So this is our mixers for Tiki season, and our cocktails are coming soon. All right, guys, y'all have a great day, because when I'm finished using this and finishing this blueberry vodka cranberry thing that I made, I'll be having a great day too. See y'all later.